All right, welcome on back to the Local 636 podcast. Today, my guest, Sugar Shane, Big Shane.
Yep.
What are we going with?
All those.
Big Sugar.
Yeah.
What about just Big Sugar?
Yep.
Big Shug?
That's
That's already taken, I think,
that's
isn't
the
it?
new one now, yeah.
Shane Presley with the Rock Paper podcast, lifelong St. Charles resident.
Yeah, born and raised in Wentzville. Graduated from Wentzville School District, and I've been out there all my life.
All right, you've had some time to think about this question.
All right.
What do you call someone from Wentzville? Not a joke. I had a piece of mail. Someone was curious. What do you call someone from Wentzville?
I guess Wentzvillian,
Wentzvillian?
maybe.
I think that sounds good.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm Wentzvillian.
Uh,
It sounds, there's a certain like je ne sais quoi about it. It sounds like it's something maybe, bigger than what it is. I'm a Wentzvillian.
It's
Yeah.
better than Cottervillian.
Cottervillian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's more villian than anything else, right?
Yeah.
Sounds
None of them
like-
sound great, really.
Right.
Yeah. Just say that you're from St. Louis, basically.
Right, sure, yeah.
All right, tell me about the Rock Paper podcast. You might be, I get hailed as like someone who knows a lot about music. As we talked about, I'm very kind of nailed down into one kind of genre, though. You have a vast array of knowledge, and you've been doing this podcast for a long time. 1,000 episodes?
Yeah. Just May 2014, I started doing the show with my buddy Chris.
Wow.
We did probably about a year together, and then he just parted ways, had a second child, and just didn't have the time for it anymore. And
What was the podcast landscape like in 2014? I mean, there's 4 billion now.
Sure,
I think
yeah.
is the official number.
I mean, there was definitely a lot of people doing it even then, but definitely kind of like before the real big like boom, I would say, of where everybody's got one now kind of thing. But so I was going to the Funny Bone a lot here in St. Louis, and I was going to a lot of comedy, and I've met Jay Larson down there, and I enjoyed his comedy, and he's like, hey, check out my podcast. And so that was my first like introduction into podcasting.
And you hadn't heard of a podcast before?
You'd see it on your iPod or whatever,
Yeah.
something like that, but I really had no idea like what it was or where to listen or start or kind of
Yeah.
thing or anything like that. So when he said that, I was like, all right, well, I'll go find out. And I got on iTunes, got the show, and started listening and loved what they were doing. And he does that. That was the Crab Feast with Jay Larson and Ryan Sickler, and that was kind of my big jumping off point. And I started listening every week, and then that introduced me to a bunch of other shows that I loved. And I was just like, these guys sound like they're having a great time, and I want to do that.
Yeah.
And but I was like, when we sat down to like talk about what we were going to do, I was like, well, I got all these friends in music, and I'd already been going to a ton of concerts, and friends from high school were playing in original bands and stuff like. So I started. That's what we did, man. The first couple episodes, we kind of caught up with some friends, and then I think it was like episode 5. I got Steve Ewing on the show.
Wow. 5 episodes in?
Yeah, I mean,
in 2014.
Well, he was a friend of mine already, but
Okay.
but like,
Sorry, Steve Ewing was for years.
I was like, but we,
Jeez.
I've been going to his hot dog shop a lot.
Okay.
So that way you kind of get in good with him there. But
Okay, just go buy some hot dogs
yeah,
from Steve.
for sure.
That's the way to do it.
But that was like the first like one that really kind of gave us like some legitimacy. It's like
Sure.
having the lead singer of The Urge on.
Had he heard of a podcast at that time?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
And that sounds like a weird question, but I mean, really in 2014, I
Yeah.
don't think I was listening then. I mean, I was a very early adapter for podcasts, but I don't think it was as early as 2014.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I probably just pitched it like it's a radio interview, and
Yeah.
he'd done many of those. So
Yeah, sure. I had a grudge against Ewing for a long time, completely unnecessary, but they played their last show ever at Mississippi Nights.
Yeah.
And this was in I think it might have been 2000 because I went with high school friends, and that's when I graduated. And it was, I mean, you've been to shows at Mississippi Nights.
no, actually, never have.
Never
No.
been to a Mississippi Nights show.
No, that's one of my.
I haven't.
Yeah.
You've never been to a Mississippi Nights show.
No.
My gosh. Okay.
That was like just before my time. Like,
Okay.
actually really going to shows. Like,
Sure.
I was probably old enough to get in. Obviously, but I never really had any like, older brother or cousin or anybody like taking me to shows or
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So I went to like like my first concert I went to, my mom took me to see Matchbox 20 in 1997.
Nice.
So I could have been going to shows there, but it was just like I didn't really have like that in there. And so it wasn't until like after high school that I was really like started like going to my own shows.
Going downtown and
right.
Yeah, that's we always went with friends, and I guess it was just a different time where we could just go and be like, we're going, see you later.
Yeah, sure.
But what a great venue. I mean, just saw so many bands there, and it's so hot and sweaty, and you get the big X on your hand, but you still, try to sneak beers over the line and everything. Because they had a line. You had to be in this certain section, but it was just like this line. Anyway, The Urge played their last show there, and we made sure to get tickets for the last night because it was either a 2 or 3 night event, and they were breaking up and they weren't going to, play any more shows. And of course they have played more shows. And
right.
As I'm an adult, I realize, every band just does this. They just break up or take a 2 or 3 year break. But as a, 18 and 20-year-old, when I saw them, I'm like, they're playing again? I went to their last show. I've got the ticket stub and all that stuff. But that's amazing. So how much of a boost did that give you to have Ewing on?
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like really proud of like that. Like, I don't know that it was like really gave us like a big jump in list downloads or anything like that. But
yeah, it's like validating.
Yeah, for sure. And like, but it was a good learning. So, I mean, I appreciate guys like him and a bunch of others that came on early on and like helped us learn because we had no idea what we were doing. Like Chris had a little bit of radio experience from college, but I was just a fan. I'm just a guy like talking about music, and I always kind of compared us early on to like baseball commentary. Like he was like Chris would do like play-by-play, and I would do like color commentating kind of thing. Like I would just kind of chime in with a story, and but when Chris stepped away, like I really had to I took it upon myself to really learn a lot more of being better on the mic and being a better host, and then so I started recording all the time. I started doing like at least 3 a week, sometimes more.
Wow.
And
editing all yourself, doing everything yourself.
It's all me, yeah.
Yeah.
And but I felt like I learned a lot then, and also that's where the show I felt grew the most, because like I was like networking at such a rapid pace. Like I was, episodes with all kinds of people all over the city and all different genres, and so I felt like that was like kind of got the most eyes and ears on the show.
Yeah.
During that time period.
One more Urge question, and then I'll move on. I love.
Sure.
It.
Yeah.
Favorite Urge song. You gotta pick one.
Yeah. Man, we
can talk about a couple.
Yeah. I don't know. On the spot, probably like something like Straight to Hell or something.
Great song.
I like what they're fun about them really like is that they have like such a variety of music. Like like they have like the hard and heavy rock ones, and then they have like some smoother. Song.
I also think that's why they never went mainstream.
Right.
I think it was too hard. A lot of their stuff is too heavy for the radio. Like if you listen to a song like Brainless, which they played on The Point, it's a heavy song.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. The other songs were maybe too ska for like the 311 crowd, or too heavy for this crowd, or not heavy enough to be heavy. Because it was such a mix, but that's what I loved about it.
Yeah, they were really kind of blending a lot of different stuff, and it just didn't really fit in a certain box by any means. So
I'll give you 4 letters and 2 words.
Yeah.
And my wife's name has 4 letters, and so it's kind of because the song is about love and Beth. The 4 letters, and love means the same thing, and so that, and then I love heavy music, but Closer.
Yeah.
Which is those are probably 2 of their softer, or easier songs. But man, Urge. Yeah. Have you seen The Urge before?
No, I'm pretty much from the time when her bands were around.
Yeah.
So
well, they were active then.
Yeah.
They were.
I'm like
doing house parties though, and like
yeah.
Well, they'll pop up at the Pageant or Del Mar Hall or something soon.
Every Thanksgiving.
I would say you want to try to go to that. It's a show. It's amazing. Yeah. It's an experience.
I mean, incredible energy. I don't know how they do it. They're a lot of fun.
Hey, while we're talking, I want to take a break and just make sure that you hit that subscribe button. I think it's on this side, right? Smash that subscribe button and the bell. You got to hit the bell, which Angel told me, right? You got to hit the subscribe and the bell
notifications
to get those notifications. Thank
Boom.
you. Got a veteran podcaster over here. Tell me how to run it. So do that so you can get the latest information and episodes and just stay up to date with what we're doing. So you started out with people that you knew, and Steve Ewing is one of those people. How do you then start to get people? Is it word of mouth? Are you showing them like, hey, here's who I've interviewed?
Yeah, there's some of that. I mean, for sure, like it helps having a guy like that early on where people are like, well, Steve's doing it. Like kind of that helps for sure. But it was a lot of just being friendly. I mean, like I obviously have no problem talking. I'll go to a lot of shows. I start talking after the show. I'm like, hey, come on, you should do an episode of the podcast and that kind of stuff. And
most people are pretty receptive to it.
Oh yeah. I mean, like free advertising, like all they gotta do is sit and talk to me for an hour or so. And
one with you doing mostly local stuff, they're probably more willing, right? Because they want to get their name out and promote and stuff.
Yeah. So I felt it was like a lot of it was just like kind of started, and then as things did progress, I started getting more emails from other people like, hey, we want to be involved too. So like that was cool when the show starts doing work for you.
What's the most fun episode you've ever done? Is there a favorite location or a favorite band that you've interviewed? Or
yeah, I mean, I talk about it probably a lot, but there's a couple that come to mind, and they're maybe not the best audio quality, but they're some of the most fun for sure. But
yeah.
But both of them involve Bobby J. Cox, local
comedian.
Yeah, local. Well, he's touring a lot now. But
okay.
At the time, he was a local comic, and he great friend of mine, and I was there watching him get his start in like 10 years ago, and
he got a little bump from a local band too. I say local, they're a national band, but from Story of the Year, right?
Yeah, he's become buddies with them. He's in their new music video and stuff.
I saw that.
Yeah,
he's pretty neat.
Yeah, and he's just a super fan too. Like, and started hanging around enough where they were like, now he's part of the crew. So
yeah,
which is cool to see. But
that's awesome. But you knew him going back.
Yeah. So, but we met through comedy, and I had him on the show, and we did. I think the first one was at the Chesterfield Mall food court, which. Was really not ideal for recording a podcast, but it was.
Why there? Just because you're like.
It was at the time, and I still mobile with the show. I record all over, and that was like a good middle ground. And we're like, we were trying to like, let's go in here, and we just kind of thought something would be kind of goofy too.
Yeah.
And we went and sat down, and at the time it was like kind of quiet, but also we didn't realize it was like closing. So like then like the cleaning crew comes in and starts dragging chairs everywhere and stuff. So in the room it sounded awful, but on the mic it really wasn't all that bad.
Yeah.
But Bobby starts making jokes about like at the time I think they were filming Jurassic World.
Okay.
So he was making jokes about being on the set of Jurassic World, and like it sounds like dinosaurs, screeching in the background and stuff like. So it was made for a fun show because it was like a theater of the mind type of thing. And just allowed him to improv. And we may have never got something like that if we were just in a studio somewhere. So we created something, unique, I think.
Yeah.
And there was also another one with Bobby where we did in a Taco Bell. And then we got like Taco Bell.
Again, just a middle spot, or were you like, hey, that was fun last time?
Right,
let's do it?
I mean, like I think with comedians it's better because it allows them, like him particularly, like to flex that improv muscle. We started talking to Taco Bell employees and having fun with it. And
did you get the water to drink?
I don't think we had anything to drink, but we were just like hanging out in the lobby there for a minute. And so those would definitely come to mind as some of my favorites. I mean, there's a lot of them, but Bobby was always a lot of fun to hang out with on the show.
That's fun. So I did mention obviously the Rock Paper Podcast is mostly musicians, or what's the percentage there? Because you do some comedians as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what the mix is, but there's a lot of variety. Like it's probably more. I think there's more bands and musicians around town than comedians, so that's
makes sense.
Majority of it, but I'm not exclusive to that. I've had other podcasters on the show. I've had charity types, people representing organizations, and anybody really that has a story to tell. Like I just enjoy getting to meet people, and that's what the show's become a good excuse to just to invite people to come sit down and talk to me for a while.
Yeah, that's fun. And you mentioned the name last time. It's not what I thought it was. Tell me about how you came up with the name for it.
Well, I think it was just more, we had a list of some names, and we were trying to come up with like 90s pop culture things or whatever different ideas we had on the paper. And that was one. I guess Chris maybe came up with it.
I thought it was longer and you cut it to something.
It used to just be Rock Paper Podcast with Chris and Shane.
Okay.
And then when Chris left the show, I just cut it down to just the name.
Gotcha.
And
okay.
it's just a play on rock, paper, scissors. But it's just like we put it out on Facebook to have our friends help us vote on a name. And that was like the one that clearly was the winner. And we're like, all right, well, I guess we'll run with it. And
yeah.
Been running with it for 9 years now. So
I like it because it makes me think of like a rock paper, like a
Yeah.
Because you do such a good job of collecting. It's Thursday through Sunday, basically, right? If there's a big Wednesday night, sometimes.
Yeah, I probably more Wednesday. Like probably starts Wednesday.
Wednesday, okay. But yeah, you collect you compile all the local music. It doesn't have to be local. It's all live music happening all around St. Louis, and you tag and you give locations and you put that out.
Probably
4 days a week.
Probably like a 50-mile radius around St. Louis.
Yeah.
So it's they cover a lot of ground with that when under the umbrella of St. Louis. But
right.
But yeah,
I love it because I love when you post and you see so many musicians interacting, going on there and saying thank you, thank you, thank you, because that's all they're trying to do is get people to show up to play in front of, especially if it's a band starting out. And I feel like you're a big part of that, of just that community of getting people to go out and see live music. And you can tell that you really enjoy when that happens.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I that all started like years ago. I mean, I've been probably doing that on Facebook for probably close to 10 years or something like that. Or maybe not quite that long, 8 or at least or something, whatever it's been. But I've been doing it a long time, and that was like I got sick of people saying there's nothing to do in this town. I'm like, no, there is.
Here's all the things.
Show,
yeah.
And when I first started, it was probably only a couple, like, whatever, 4 or 5 on a Friday night kind of thing. And so for me, like, that's part of the fun of it too, to seeing it grow to like 50, 60 events on a weekend and stuff. And it's like how far, it was always going on, but my own knowledge and networking and stuff that I've, learned of so much more going on around our city. And so, but yeah, I think it's pretty cool and people enjoy. I get more comments about that than anything I do. And I'm glad people are responding the way they are, and hopefully more people are going to live music and supporting all these events and discovering great new music in our city. That's awesome, man. I love that. And you include comedians in there too, if there's shows. Yeah, I do a lot of the some of the bar shows if I know about it. I put about anything on there that I know about. But yeah, I usually hit the Funny Bone and Helium and the Comedy Club. So yeah, that's so much fun. What got you started? Like, what got you into music? As a kid, when was it? And yeah, I mean, as long as I remember, Mom and Dad were always playing music for any of our vacations or whatnot, and like it was always music in the truck and things. Dad had I remember Dad had this like box set of like Conway Twitty record CDs and stuff, and like it's a lot of like old country and blues and a lot of like Southern rock stuff, Skinner and ZZ Top and ZZ Top or Allman Brothers and all these type of things that I love still. And so I was listening to a lot of those, and like I said, kind of the big like locally was my friends started playing from school, so I started going down to Pops and Sauget and supporting them in like these Road to Point Fest type of shows and those different things, and Battle of Bands type of shows, and those guys, a lot of them are still playing around, but it was fun to that was like initially the first beginnings of this networking. I would go and I'd see them, and they'd have 4 other bands on the show, and then I'd meet those 4 bands, and then I started following them. And as I say, were you a guy that wanted to hang out afterwards and meet the band? And yeah, I'm always about getting my CD signed and and talking, and so it's just it's always been there. I always enjoy saying hey and thanking them for what they do. And I've always been the same. I always have that thing where it feels weird, and then I just kind of push myself through it and say, well, this is maybe
maybe never have another chance to meet this person or shake their
Sure.
hand or tell them thanks or something. So that's cool. You mentioned Matchbox 20, first concert.
Yeah.
Your choice, parents' choice, a little
Oh,
bit of both?
that was me, man.
Okay.
That record was huge in '97.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know how old you
Yeah.
were. And my first concert was Steve Miller Band and Pat Benatar,
There you go.
which not my choice, but I liked it. I mean, my mom and stepdad played it around the house, and so I knew most of the Steve Miller songs.
That's the first one I picked. I'm sure my parents took me to something that I don't remember, but that's like the first like concert memory I really like, a big concert.
And how old were you?
I mean, so I'm born '85, so I guess like
12 years old,
13, whatever, something like that.
And that was that Matchbox 20, Yourself or Someone Like You?
Yeah.
Push, 3 a.m., Long Day,
Real World,
Real World.
All those big hits.
What's the girl? There's a girl. There were like 5 or 6 singles from that album.
Yeah, it was huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
And I imagine someone cool opened for him.
It was the rest of this show was Semisonic and Soul Asylum.
Closing time. Oh, Soul Asylum.
Yeah.
Never got to see them.
I've seen them twice. Yeah.
Really?
They're a good show. They were just here with like at St. Louis Music Park last summer with
Oh, really?
maybe I think it was a Collective Soul show, maybe.
Okay.
Something like
Sounds
that.
right.
Yeah.
Those bands kind of stick
Mm-hmm.
together now. Those are fun though. You could see on that Everclear puts together the summer.
Right.
What's it called?
Yeah, Summerland, I think.
Summerland. Yeah. And it's always like, oh yeah, I'll go see Everclear and Lit and
Tonic,
Gin Blossoms.
Sugar
and,
Ray.
Yeah, like for $25, absolutely.
A lot of
Let's
90s,
do that.
90s throwback. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so much fun, man. We were talking earlier about personalities and how some people are different, off mic or not after the show. You don't have to mention any names, but have you been turned off to the point where you're like, I'm not a fan of that band anymore after that interaction?
I don't know that I would go that far. Like, I wouldn't say that. Like, I mean, I always take everything kind of like with a grain of salt, sort of thing.
Yeah.
That kind of mentality. Like, we're all human. We're all gonna have good days and bad days, and sometimes you just catch people on a bad day. I've even had some that I've recorded, and we decided by the end of it, like, hey man, let's just hit delete and try this over again some other day. Like, it just didn't work for whatever reason.
Really?
And there are people I'm friendly with. It just whatever it is. Like, I put it on myself too. I mean, I have my off days. Like,
yeah.
So, and ultimately, we've always, if we ever revisited it and we tried, we did it a second time, it always worked out better. We're like,
probably a wake up call to them to be like, oh, I'm being a giant asshole.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's just there's been, I mean, not all of them are winners for sure. Like, it happens when you're doing it enough, meeting over 9 years worth of shows and stuff. So, but for the most part, I mean, like, they're all like majority of them, 99% at least. Are like,
I mean, out of 1,000 podcasts, you're going to have a few bad ones, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Let's take a quick break.
And we're back.
All right. Thanks for bringing us back. I love that, man. Let's talk about something that is obviously very important to you. Talk about your mom, man. You've mentioned her a couple times, and obviously your parents were very instrumental in your taste and your love for music and your appreciation. And like, they went to concerts, they took you to concerts. And so,
Yeah. I mean, like I said, Mom took me to the first one, and then like she retired, and we started going to a lot of shows together.
I thought you were going to say she retired from going to shows.
Right,
I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm about there sometimes. 41 is,
But once she retired from work, and then like we started going to all kinds of concerts. I was working the door at Broadway Oyster Bar at the time also.
Oh, cool.
And she would come down there a lot on Wednesday nights, just ride along with me to work, and like because Sean Cannon's Voodoo Players are there every Wednesday, and so she'd hang out and watch the band, and when I was my shift's over, we go back home, and so we there was a good chunk of years there where we got real close, just like going to concerts all the time. And so it was a big part of our life. In 2019, May 2019, I guess like towards the end of May, there was some weird things started happening, and ended up discovering that she had a brain tumor. And in June, she went in for to have it removed, and it came back as it was stage 4 glioblastoma, brain cancer, and so that was heavy, and it was really. They were able to remove a lot of it, but it's a very aggressive cancer, and they tried to treat it with chemo and radiation over the next couple months. But by fall, she was pretty much nonverbal, and then by December 3rd, she passed. And it was, so in that time, I organized a benefit in her in September of that year.
Oh, I didn't realize it started that year.
Yeah. So the first one was for her, and to help with some of the bills that had accumulated with this, and I put basically I wanted to treat it like if she was going to pass, let's just throw one heck of a party.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting a bunch of her favorite bands to play, Big Mike Aguirre and Al Holliday and Joe Bazzelli and Jackson Stokes, and it was just it was at Old Rock House, and it's just an incredible day, and then we were able to get her there for a little while and to be a part of it.
Ask if she was able to be there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we yeah, man, it was really for such a terrible thing. Like the room was full of. Later on, I found out like people started doing like a pay it forward thing at the door. Just started like putting down whatever. I think we were doing like a $10 or $15 cover charge kind of thing for the concert, and people just started putting down $50, $100 or whatever, and then like we're paying for the next whatever, and then just continued. And so like it was to hear that kind of stuff, like that my friends have the kind of heart that they do, like that felt really good to be a part of that. And
yeah.
But the community showed up, and it was a beautiful day. And like I said, Mom would go on to pass in December, and of course, that led right into our global pandemic in 2020. So I put everything on hold. And in November of 21, as things kind of allowed again, I put a second one together to help others in need. And that was another fun day. And even, on a Sunday afternoon during a pandemic, we were able to raise a nice chunk of money to help others in need. And then this year in 23, on Mother's Day, we decided to move it to May. For May is Brain Cancer Awareness Month.
Oh, okay.
And it happened to be that Mother's Day was available, and they pitched the idea. And I was like, that sounds very appropriate. So we'll be at Old Rock House May 14th, Mother's Day, 3 to 7 p.m. And this will be my third Debbstock show.
What a great way to honor your mom and to have something that you guys loved together, that you guys shared.
Yeah.
To be able to do that, and just something that is, something that you, I don't say you live for it, but something that means a whole lot to you.
For sure, yeah. I mean, and that, like, the one to keep her memory alive. But yeah, music was a huge part of our lives, and to kind of share her message and raise awareness through that way. And I've got all these talented friends around the city that wanted to help be a part of it.
Yeah.
So
saw a couple familiar names on there. We've got Russo Co headlining.
Yeah.
I think we all know about him, but he's what would you say, like a rock / bluegrass / he's a little funky, got some tap dancing, stand-up bass. I mean, what a show he puts on. Yeah,
incredibly entertaining.
Yeah. Tell me about the other performers.
Emily Wallace, one of the greatest voices and songwriters around town. She's, I guess, more in the city. She's kind of South City. She's got a couple songs about being in South City, and cool. So that's her thing. And but she's an incredibly gifted performer. She has a group also called the Sleepy Rubies with her sister and they play around town. And just powerhouse vocals.
All
and
right.
Ryan Cheney, you may have know him from his work in, he had a group called Fivefold and still active.
Okay.
In modern rock,
Cool,
alternative rock stuff. And so this is his solo work as he kind of a little bit more leaning folk kind of stuff.
Interesting.
And so it's a little different take, but it's a lot of the same guys that back him up in Fivefold are also backing him up on this project. So
very cool.
It's just a little different style of music, but same great guys and incredible players, and it's going to be a fun night.
Awesome. And then Meredith Hopping.
Meredith's a comedian around town, and she's also a mother. And I was felt right to include her. I like, mentioning the, having a lot of comedians involved in the show. It felt appropriate to always kind of have like a comedian involved in quite a few of my shows I've put together over the years. And so, yeah, she'll be hosting and kind of doing some comedy in between acts and things. So
very cool.
Yeah.
I like that kind of mixed medium,
Right.
I always strive to do different things with the local 636 brand and the events that we do, and that sounds really neat.
Yeah. So I'm excited to have her a part of it, and I know everybody on it. Like, it's going to be a fun day. And again, it's 3 to 7. So I'm kind of like trying to encourage people, if they want to take mom out to brunch or whatever it is, and come party with us afterwards and bring mom out. And
plenty of time to do brunch.
Yeah.
And swing by the old Rock House, and I'm sure there's tons of great brunch places down there.
For sure. Oh yeah. Yeah, the city's got all kinds of options for sure. But
yeah. And tickets are on sale now?
Yeah, through etix.com. And
we've got a link.
Yeah.
They really like when I do this, we can put the link here or here. Can we do can we put the link here and like stretch it out? Can we do that? She's going to be mad at me, I feel like. Can we shrink it back then?
We'll make it work somehow.
Yeah.
We're doing too much. So we'll get the links up there. And how much are tickets?
15 in advance, 20 day of show.
Okay.
You can also just message me. I'll drop one in the mail for you.
And they go to benefit, is there a specific foundation? Or?
The last time we did it, there's a branch off of BJC that we donated to going right to brain cancer patients.
Okay, cool.
So I'll probably do that again.
Stays here.
Right.
And
Everything stays local.
Very cool. And our friend Mr. Binder designed the
logo. Andrew Binder over at Icon and Ink does incredible work.
Yeah.
He drew this up for me, and also the T-shirts we'll be having for sale.
Yeah, can we flip the T-shirts on there? It's a great looking shirt.
Yeah,
I love the So Andy did some of our city design shirts, like our St. Peter shirt, our Winsville shirt. He did the art for those.
Yeah,
and, fantastic. And I love the 3/4 sleeve. We just are releasing a 3/4 sleeve, our first one.
Yeah,
I don't see enough of them.
Yeah, I thought it was. I wanted to do something a little different. Last year we did like a red, or in 21 we did a red, and it was. I love the design too, but it was something. Wanted to do something a little different. I chose the gray sleeves because, and then it's got the gray ribbon because of brain cancer awareness.
Oh, okay. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, but I loved the detail what he did with the music notes and the rose stems and stuff. I thought that was really a nice touch.
Yeah.
And,
but I didn't even notice that, and I love that about some of his work. Is like the more you look at it, you're like, oh, that's neat. I didn't.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So there's some like I said, having the cancer ribbon and choosing gray, and moving it to May and everything else, like all of it's part of the idea. So
yeah, no, I mean it's obvious you want to keep this thing going and keep doing it. You think maybe this sets it up to do it maybe the same day around the same time of year.
Yeah, I think it was important for me to move it to before I did it like May, or the first one I did because we it was when it was available, and we were kind of working on time crunch with mom being sick. Second one was just happened to fall in November because that was when things started lightening up. COVID stuff, restrictions in the city, and then but there's another great benefit show my buddy Phil does, Philipalooza, for his father that passed from ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, and he does that every year in December. So I kind of wanted to move it away from his, because we have a ton of crossover and friends, and I just didn't want to have to put two benefit shows together right away, in the same like span there. So And plus, May being National Brain Cancer Awareness Month, it just made sense. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, I do want to grow there, and Old Rock House has been super supportive, and they seem to be on board with it as long as I want to keep doing it. And
Awesome.
so I'm thankful that they've given me the opportunity.
Very cool. All right, let's leave on one note here. What's the next show? You don't have to have tickets for it yet, but what's the next show that you're excited to see?
I don't know. I have all kinds of them, and my whole phone's like color coordinated with all kinds of where my podcast stuff or work or shows. So I have like my whole thing. But just announced this week, a big one I'm excited about, but it won't be till June. Is Open Highway Music Festival.
Okay. Is that off Broadway?
It's over at Chesterfield Amphitheater.
Okay.
And that's going to be a great weekend of music with Jason Isbell and a bunch of my friends locally. Sleepy Rubies, I mentioned it with Emily. Beth Bombara, Hillary Fitz, Funky Butt Brass Band, and and some other great national acts. But that's fresh on my mind right now. But
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Ben, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you at Debbstock, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. I hope, and like I said, feel free to message me or hit up the website, rockpaperpodcast.com.
Big Shane at rockpaperpodcast.com.
All right, yeah.
That's not it. What is it? What's your email?
It's just rockpaperpodcast@gmail.com.
Rockpaperpodcast@gmail.com. Be sure to stop by and check out the Rock Paper Podcast as well.
Yeah,
Thank you, man.
Thank you.